Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you've been here before, thank you so much for returning. If you're new, please hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. I would really appreciate it and it helps me out a lot. By the time of this video, I'm assuming that you want to know how to get a job before you move states, and I'm going to show you a few different ways that you can do it that would make it the most beneficial for you, but I'm also going to show you exactly the way I did it. This is a general video for anybody. It doesn't matter if you're moving to Dallas, where I live, or if you're moving to any other state, it doesn't matter. It's just a general video that I'm making. So if you are interested in more information about how to move to a new state, but getting a job first, continue to watch.
And if I did not mention it, there's a button that looks about like this at the bottom. It's called the like button. I would really appreciate it if you truly like the video. Go ahead, hit that button and let me know something, okay?
The first tip that I try to call it is the transfer method. So basically what I mean by the transfer method is you just look for a job or a company, something that is basically like nationwide. It's in every state, or at least in the state that you live in, and it's in the state that you're wanting to move to. You apply to them, you work, and you just transfer your job. Like, I completely understand. Sometimes, you know, you're flying out for an interview. It's already risky because you don't know if you're gonna even get the job or not. And the next thing you know, you spend $200-300 on a hotel, or even just a plane ticket, not even including the hotel, unless you're gonna fly straight there and back. And money adds up very quickly. For these reasons, I would say transfer method is a really good way to go. I was originally going to do that, however, I'm no longer working for the company I used to. I switched companies, so I'm not going to get into that, but I did switch companies, and that would have been my #1 method that I would have went to. It would have been a quick and easy fix, but, you know, things worked out, and I still got a job anyways. Like, nobody wants to just put money down the drain, especially when we're in a position where we're trying to go and find a job where we can make money or we're trying to live. Especially if you didn't get the job. So to make this work, you can do fast food, you can do retail, grocery stores, anything, really. Warehouse, I'm pretty sure you can transfer in a warehouse if they got it elsewhere. I'm sure like something like Amazon, that's a warehouse. Something like that, anything that's any and everywhere, just do it. Walmart, Chick-fil-A. I know some places like Chick-fil-A down here, they're advertising like starting at like what, $14 an hour. I saw Target the other day. I was going in there to grocery shop and it said something like starting at $15 an hour. I thought, oh, for Target, you can find something that will pay your bills. Maybe, you know, it's not the best pay, but it gets you to where you want to, and it gets you down here to where you are more available to see more opportunities for you when you get here. But as long as it's got you here, that's really the goal of the transfer method. It's not going to be your dream job or your career. And one other thing about the transfer method, so some jobs, they make you stay with them for 90 days, some 30 days, a year, 60 days. Just ask the company what is their transfer policy and just stay there for that long and just go ahead and move. Now, one thing about this is you can't be super picky about the kind of job that you want to use to transfer. At the end of the day, it's kind of like they are almost doing you a favor by helping you transfer and move, and you already have a job in place when you get there. So, you know, you might have to just pick a job that you didn't really see yourself doing. It's just for a couple of weeks or a couple of months until you get there and you find a job that you actually want to do. So if you're going to take this approach, please keep that in mind. Okay, so another method that I have for you to be able to move to a different state is temp service. So I worked for a temp service a couple of times, not too much. Now I will say that a lot of temp services, most of the applications, they're all done online. Some of them don't even ask you for an interview. If they do, you might just be able to do a phone interview. They will work with you if you call and just communicate your needs to them. Tell them like, hey, you know, I'm trying to move to where you are. I don't have the funds to come out there right now. If you are honest with them, they will most likely try to work with you. If not, it might not be the temp agency for you. Or, you know, I would kind of play some of the things that I did with a temp agency when I got here was I was still living back in Oklahoma. And I ended up contacting a temp agency and I talked to her about my situation. I didn't want to go down there that weekend. She was trying to rush and get me to come down there on like a Thursday. I was like, no ma'am. I ended up kind of like throwing that one to the back burner, but I did not completely delete it off of my list. And luckily I did not, because about a week later, probably not even a full week, maybe it was like 4 days, I got a call for an interview for a different job, and I ended up coming down there to do the interview, and I did two things at once. So I came down there for that interview. After I got done with that, I had already called this lady and was like, look, I'll be there Friday or Monday or whenever it was that I came there. So I did the first interview, and then, you know, on the way home from that interview, I was still in my interview clothes, I just drove over there and I filled out the application. I did everything I needed to do online for the Temp Agency, and she ended up contacting me back about some things. So, you know, that's definitely a way to get around it. If you are going to try this, try to do it try to multitask with it. Do a couple of things at once. That way, if you're going to spend the money to do it, at least make it worthwhile. You got a higher chance of getting a job if you're doing multiple interviews. Like, of course, that makes sense. So try not to just do one interview if you're going to travel and do these things, because they do cost money, like I said before, and you kind of want to make your time as useful as possible. I was in school full time. I was working. Like, graduation was around the corner. I had a lot of things on my plate at one time, and I didn't really have the free time to just drive over the road and doing these things, even though, I mean, I made time for it, but I wanted it to be as fast and as smooth as possible, and I felt like that was the way that was probably the only reason why I made it that far. So make sure that you really keep that in mind as you are traveling or whatever you're doing with the temp agency. Just make sure that you're honest. I can't stress that enough. Make sure that you're honest with them, because if you're not, they're going to be thinking you're already there. A lot of the time, if I had not explained what a temp agency is, so a temp agency is really, let's say, for example, you needed a job. I was a company that was hiring. I don't want to go through the interview process. I don't want to have to hire people directly. I don't want to have to drug test them, do all of those things. So I go to a temp agency, which is an office that has people that work there, and they do the recruiting for me. So basically, you go to the temp agency. I have hired the temp agency to recruit you. So therefore, now I will say some of them, the reason why they want you to come in person is just because they might want to drug test you on site. That you probably can't really get around it, but I know that maybe if you contact them and say like, hey, you know, we have if they say we want you to go to Concentra is the urgent care that is, I think, nationwide. You probably have a Concentra somewhere near you, or some type of clinic that you can go to. Maybe you can contact them and say, hey, you know, I live here, it's not too far away, I don't really want to come just for a drug test. Is there any way that I can go to a Concentra near me, and they give you my drug test? They'll drug test me, give me the shots, do whatever you need me to do, and they might give you that option. It's a try, it's not a guarantee, so might work for you, it might not. One thing I will warn you about temp services is they're not one size fits all. It's not like, you know, it can range from anybody who, if you don't have a degree, if you do have a degree, if you got a doctorate, it don't matter what you have. You can work for a temp agency. But do remember that if you want to do like some kind of business clerical or office work or whatever, a desk job or, I don't know, retail, go to one that specifically lists things like that. I mean, you might Google retail temp services or whatever you're working in. If you're working in warehouse, go to one that caters to warehouse needs, or go to one that if you want to work in the medical field, go to one that specifically that has medical work. But whatever it is, just go to the temp agency that has what you're looking for. Google it, research it, figure all that stuff out before you even put in an application, because I can tell you now, I made that mistake and it's a complete waste of time. Like, you will be so frustrated going through so many temp agencies just to figure out that was not the one you needed to apply to, and they call you back and say, we don't have nothing for you, you need to go next door to this one. They can act a little funny with you sometimes, Like they may say, oh, we got this position, it pays $15 an hour. You work there for 90 days and then you become permanent with the company. Maybe some of y'all have had good experiences, but for me, they always, for some reason, would tell me, you know, that I'm going to work there for this many days and then I'll become a regular on. No, they really just work you until they get tired of you and don't need you anymore, and they send you on to a next job. But I mean, at least you're kind of like getting experience in different things, but you know, that just really wasn't what I wanted. Like I was on a certain track and I didn't really want to be thrown all over the place. But if it's something that you have to do to get you here and to get you a paycheck, that's fine. Just don't plan to stay there forever. I mean, it kind of says it in the name, Temp Agency. They meant that. I can tell you one of the benefits of being with the Temp Agency is some of the people that are hiring through the temp agencies, they will hire you even if you don't have experience. Regardless of your background, they will get you a job. It may take a little bit if you don't have a background that's kind of going toward what they're trying to get you in, but they will really help you to get your foot in the door. So if you are one of those people who may be in between fields, or you're maybe you just graduated college or even just high school, they have something for you that will help you to get out here to where you can get on your feet a little faster. So I would say give it a shot, but have in the back of your mind a way out or something that you're looking for on the way out, because it's a small chance, in my opinion, that they may put you in a job and the job actually keep you. Sometimes they literally just hire temp workers, meaning that's it. You're temporary, you're not gonna stay here. So they already had their mind made up. It's not you. They had their mind made up before they even hired you. They just try not to tell you that so you don't decline the job. And last but not least about a temp agency is, like I explained before, a company they're basically hired, they're contracted with the company to hire people for that company. At the end of the day, that company has to pay these people to hire you, to screen you, to drug test you, to do all of these things. Part of their work for them. This company has to get paid as well. So you're not going to get paid. Basically what I'm trying to say is you're going to have to accept probably a slightly lower pay than what you're expecting to do for that type of job. But if you luck up and you work there for the 90 days or whatever, you're going to end up getting your health insurance after all, and then you get your regular pay because you would end up being hired on with the actual company after a certain period of time, which they're going to tell you all of these things. My point is you're going to have to take a slightly lower pay, maybe like $1 or $2 less, because they have to pay the temp agency to do all this with you. So just keep that in mind. You're gonna have to kind of stick it out. You're probably gonna feel a little underpaid because you're kind of gonna be in a sense. But everybody gets their money here after you stay there, or after you figured out what you're gonna do. Then you'll get your real pay. So you kind of gotta work with it, but I mean it's temporary, so it's completely doable. Temp agencies are all over the U.S., probably in every city you can think of, so it's not hard at all to do that. I would say, or my thing with that is, it was just a backup plan for me. Luckily, I did not have to do it, but that's not the case for everybody, and I completely understand that. And they were a resource for me that I used. I just looked up and I found a job, so I didn't have to go through a temp agency, but I did use them in the process to get here. I can say that. They get you a job really fast. Like sometimes I've applied on a Monday and they say, hey, I found you something. Can you start this Thursday? Like they're fast. I will tell you, because of how fast a temp agency works, you have to be prepared. If they tell you, hey, we can start on a Monday, or you can start this if you working in your home place now, and they call you up and say, hey, I got something for you Thursday and it's only Tuesday, you already got a job. So hop on the plane and you can stay in a hotel, work the job. You can find a place to stay on the weekend. You can make time outside of that. The most important part is you have a job. So stick it out.